Howdy, my name is Shaun Overton and I am turning this into a desert forest. But as you can probably tell from the view behind me, this doesn't look at all like Sierra Blanca, and that is because I am in Cerro Gordo, California, visiting ghost town living Brent Underwood and his band of volunteers, and I am here to build check dams with the secret motive of building a desert forest, but Brent doesn't know that yet. I'm a huge fan of ghost town living. It's one of the reasons that I actually started my own channel after I bought the property. But as I've watched Brent struggle with water erosion, I realized some of the principles I've picked up from Dustups would apply very well here, and I reached out to him knowing that these check dams would be a great solution for his property. Cerro Gordo was a mine, and a lot of the miners chopped down the native pinyon pine here, and I'm hoping that as I help Brent control the water and the erosion that's happening on his property, washing out his roads, that we help do our little part to restore the pinyon pines that were native to this landscape. But before we get into that, let's take a tour with Brent down this wash, look at the problem that he has, he'll explain it in more detail, and we'll evaluate why check dams are a great solution for his property.
I would say 95% of the year we have not enough water. And so it's like we have these storage tanks that we're always going through all these big expeditions to get water up here, whether that's trucking it up or there's some water that kind of seeps into one of the levels of the mine. From 700 feet down, we pipe the water up out of the mine and then into one of these storage tanks. But then when the water hits in ways that we usually don't like, usually right around this time of year, we'll occasionally get just these gully washers or whatever that just take out the entire canyon all the way down, because our road is constructed in the middle of an old wash. And so when the wash goes, the road goes. 95% of the year I'm thinking about the issues of not having water, but then that 5% when we have too much, it's a huge problem, almost in a way that's more than when we don't have water. The primary two trees that we have up here, we have the pinyon pine and some juniper trees. And the pinyon pine was a main source of food for the Paiute and the Shoshone, who were the two main tribes here back in the day. And then when the miners came up here and were mining the camp, they took down every tree that was standing, either for firewood or for some shoring inside of the mine. And so these hills were pretty much stripped bare. Pinyon pines grow slow, especially up here in the high desert. I think we're at maybe like an inch a year of some of these growths. And so some of these trees are 150 years old. One of my dreams, and maybe something that we could figure out together, is I would love to see this place have trees again. And there's a good chance that that won't happen in my lifetime, but maybe we could at least get the ball going in that direction.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great thing to tour the property and think about water management for vegetation. Some of the ideas I had in mind are more similar to that pile of rocks that stand over here. A lot of the ideas for the water flow are looking where the water is starting to channel.
Okay.
And then getting as high up on the landscape as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Building the smallest dam that we possibly can.
Okay.
And then as we get down, we just think about where do we want the water to go, thinking about the vegetation like the pinyon pine. What can we do to possibly encourage it to grow? But so thinking two things. One is the water management.
Right.
Making sure that you have a road.
Right. Yep. That would be big.
The longer term view of if we can get vegetation going, that's just going to help because it's an obstacle to the water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slow it all down.
This one might actually be interesting because this one's very closely and easily both manageable and noticeable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that way we can keep an eye on it, see how everything's going. You can tell it's kind of a bowl here.
Yeah.
All the water even the snow starts going here, and then it starts really rushing through. I mean, we didn't cut this, but it looks like it could have been cut with, equipment.
Yeah.
And it really, because then it intersects the road about 100 yards from here. And so that's our first part where we lose part of the road, and it's all caused because it begins right here. And so you can kind of see where the erosions happen. If we follow this directly, you'll see where it crosses the road, and that's kind of our first big washout in town.
Those stones right there and that pinyon pine are kind of the channel.
Okay, yep.
So we just want to walk around and start looking for channels that are going to kind of flow down that way towards your parking lot. Maybe we should just start here because there's already a check dam.
Okay.
Just get as high up as we can until we start finding stuff like this.
Start stacking rocks?
Start stacking rocks.
Okay.
There's a couple of core principles that we're trying to do. It's not just stopping the water. We also want to make sure that we don't cause any damage. We don't want to alter the channel. What we're trying to do with a check dam is we're trying to make a very gentle U shape like this so that the water flows through the middle, and we want to protect the bank as well. We're trying to get the water to backfill and then spill through the middle, and we're going to build a little landing pad so that it's not kicking up silt as it goes. You just kind of have to go with what's on site. These are already kind of in the ground and locked in. why bother them, right? It makes more sense to just pick up this loose guy here, stack him, probably build it around here. And then we want the water flowing in this part of the channel. This isn't gonna be a huge construction project. We probably won't even have this be more than 1 or 2 rocks tall.
Okay. Another thing that I've kind of enjoy about walking these washes is they also, you know, the water obviously brings all the old artifacts into the wash too. So you find some really cool old stuff. So after every rain, I try to take a walk through here because you never know. Each rain reveals something new, it seems.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night, about the experience of being here. And I told you this before, that your channel was the inspiration for me thinking, wow, this would do really well on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome.
As I was looking at your channel a month after I bought my property, I thought, man, it really rhymes. Like, I'm not buying a ghost town, but like I have my own project, but it just feels so similar.
Yeah.
So that was, that was what made me go for it.
It's cool that we connected because I've seen your videos before too. So I was like, I knew there's some similarity there.
Yeah, it's not an accident.
Right. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that we're here. So there's an example. There's a big piece of slag. So this is the waste byproduct of when they were refining the galena. But if you feel this rock,
We'll try to do this with one hand.
very heavy.
Yeah, it's extremely heavy.
And so that was this thing behind me. Actually, kind of interesting. That's an old smelter where they were refining some of the galena down into the silver.
That is so cool.
Which is right there. And so this would have probably came from the other one. There's another one above us that probably washed down to here.
You know, that material, the slag,
Yeah.
is perfect because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
You think about the water hitting the rocks, you want it to be able to resist the weight.
Right.
So the heavier the rock and the bigger the rock,
Yeah.
generally the better.
That's great. I know various places on the property with various size rocks. Is there an ideal size we're looking for?
This would be the biggest size we would possibly want. Half this size would be ideal. Enough that the water's not really pushing it around,
Yeah.
but it's still manageable by hand.
We can visit a couple of the locations and mix our batch too.
Yeah,
You know, get all the different
Yeah, I
ones.
think that'd be a good idea.
Is there a preferred size, or are we kind of just?
I think all of this is fine.
Okay.
I wouldn't even worry about the size. Just start chucking rocks.
Yeah.
And those miners 150 years ago spent a lot of time and effort screening this for us.
Yep.
May as well take advantage. It's just the idea of hauling rocks and putting them in a pile this big. Like, trying to think of the man hours it took to do that.
Move around, move around.
Keep going.
This is satisfying. I feel like I'd pay to do this.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
For only $20 an hour, the pleasure could be yours.
Buck a rock.
Okay. Meals on the Dustups Ranch are incredibly important. I try to eat as much protein as I can to help build muscle and keep my weight in check. But not all protein is the same, and that's the reason I use Equip Prime Protein. Prime Protein is made from 100% grass-fed beef, which provides the equivalent of a 4-ounce serving of meat. I've heard that the best time to take protein is either immediately after a workout or within an hour of waking up. And because when I wake up, I don't really feel like cooking a gourmet meal, using protein powder is really handy. Especially out here when time is so precious. Equip values transparency, quality, and customer well-being above all else. They're committed to sourcing the best possible ingredients because that's going to give you the best possible outcome. The only reason to take protein powder is for your health. It makes sense to take the healthiest option. Prime Protein is such a game changer for me. I know you're gonna love it. Equip's giving my viewers an incredible offer. Head to my special link to take advantage. You'll get 20% off of your first order when you use the promotion code Dustups, or even better, use the promotion code Dustups for a subscription and you will get 35% off of your first subscription. Again, that link is equipfoods.com/dustups. The promotion code is dustups, and that'll get you 20% off of your first order or 35% off of your first subscription. I have been working like crazy.
We got a whole other truckload coming your way.
Awesome. The best thing I learned from a civil engineer on my channel was the way to gauge water flow.
Okay.
And she told me, just look at the size of the rocks in the channel. If you see giant boulders, probably not a good project for you.
Right, because they're going to crush it basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to do, you need very large equipment.
Yeah.
But for this stuff where it's, like, there's no stone in here that we can't lift by hand comfortably.
Right, yeah, easily, all of it. That's great. That's a good rule of thumb. I hadn't thought about that. But you got, I mean, we're following obviously where the water's going, and this, I guess, and then it's about to intersect our road, which then becomes the big issue. So yeah, we go down here. It's kind of all over the place at this point, and then just ahead of us, it starts taking a hard left to get into the other canyon over there, and that's when it crosses our road, and it just guaranteed wipeout each time. Right around here, this becomes the real problem area for the road, because see, now it wants to go right over there. It's got to cross the road. And so pretty much each year, you know, we've built it back up many times, but between here and where you can see it pretty evidently pick up right there, it crosses right here, and it'll take this road with it. This section of road between there and right here is the first bit that we lose every time we get a big rain, and it's a problem. Now you have an idea. That's the probably easiest, highest impact issue that we have, that if we were to slow or do something with the water flow to here, it would greatly benefit the road each time we got a big washout. We want to get up to the sides, or how tall do you want this to be?
I mean, ideally, we would want it to go here.
Right.
But that means that the dam's going to have to be from like here to over there. So in order to not damage everything, we're going to build out.
Okay.
So you kind of like, so the reason I had you put the rock there is that we don't want to build like a giant waterfall.
Right.
So we're going to spread it out until it feels like we're building up.
Kind of like steps almost?
A ramp.
Ramp, okay, that's what we do.
A nice little water slide. Bunny slopes.
Bunny slopes.
We want bunny slopes.
Yep, okay.
I'm really just protecting the bank. So what do I need to do? How far do I need to go so that we have this piled up? And then the center just kind of takes care of itself.
Cool.
Stuff just falls into that U shape. And it's way better to have the bank overprotected and this lower than it could be.
Understood, yep.
So, assuming we have enough material, we want the lip to come all the way up to here.
Okay.
But we want the center to be 6 or 8 inches lower.
So that's always the lowest point.
Exactly.
Right.
It's good for the muffler when it scrapes on rocks, right? Manufacturer's recommendations there. I mean, I'm setting the standard for how to take care of your truck, Brent. Like, I would never do something like that.
Of course not. This truck lives a very hard life. She's still kicking.
This thing's a workhorse, man.
Yeah.
I love Tacomas. I mean, I've done my best to kill them, and I haven't succeeded yet. That is such a cool view. I hope that railroad trestle has another 100 years in it.
I think I need to stabilize it.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
It looks rickety enough that I was worried about my kids being inclined to go near it.
Yeah. Can I go over here now?
Yeah, I think so, because...
Dump them where these bushes are?
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to tell because the vegetation's so thick. And those are actually good for the channel. We actually want them to build up behind the check dams.
I could go basically to here.
Yeah, we want one right there on top of the dirt.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, we want to fill these little channels and build 2 really tiny ones.
Okay.
I don't know how well I explained the principle, but we want this to be a stair step.
Yeah.
So if you look at the bottom dam, when it's totally flooded, we want the water to back all the way up to the bottom of this upper dam.
So the bottom of that should be equal to the top of that.
Correct.
And then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So the distance between them is going to change based on the elevation.
Okay.
Right in here where we broaden it out, kind of have this as a little bit of a deterrent.
I actually want to dam it up where it's more narrow. And then hopefully we can just stack them in here as close as possible, keeping in mind the stair step idea. But we'll probably want to, you see that scrap piece of tin in the channel? That's probably where we'll want to do it, because when we up armor the bank, that shouldn't require too much material. And then when we're here, the channel is wider, so obviously we're going to have to use a lot more stone. We're definitely in the mountains. The weather is changing pretty quick.
Yeah, and we got the Sierras over there, which affect things over here. Oh, right there.
Time to move some more drop.
Yes, sir. Now that we have to walk and carry these by hand, I'm going to think a lot more carefully. Like, do they really need to be that big?
I'm going to chunk them down here and then...
Maybe. Let me walk down there. Some of these are so heavy, I don't think it's worth the effort to throw them. I think it's easier just to keep walking, and because by the time you pick them up twice, I'm not sure that you save much effort. Right here. We almost need like slings.
Yeah. Or like a huge line of people.
Yeah, a Congo line. Oh no. I'm trying to drop them in place the best I can.
Should we just aim to just do a line kind of?
Yeah, you'll see, I think you'll be able to see the line that I'm making. And then the ones that fall, that's kind of good because we need the foundation going downhill anyway.
All right.
Let me go, let's get out of your way. Have you seen, there's some viral video of a waitress in Oktoberfest in Munich where she's holding like 20 beer steins and...
Yeah.
I mean, we should do one more load.
Yeah.
That was easily a ton. Just judging from the squat on your truck, that was more than 3/4 of a ton plus.
Yeah. Well, I think loading takes, loading probably only takes like 10 minutes. So we're probably at 45 minutes when you're done.
Yeah.
Just in time for sunset.
Yeah, we'll earn our supper.
I think Olmo's in there making something now.
Oh, I saw him walk in and he put a smile on my face.
Yeah. Have a nice hot meal every night. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the action at Cerro Gordo, I have more of that available for you in a bonus episode. Brent has a native pinyon pine forest that I don't think he's ever shown very much of on his channel. So make sure you go to dustupsranch.com. You'll see the link on the screen, or you can scan the QR code. That'll take you to the bonus episode where you can get a private tour of the native pinyon pine forest at Cerro Gordo. And we really don't need the big ones this time, so let's not torture ourselves.
Less enthusiastic of getting the really big ones now they know what we can carry.
Yeah, exactly. Would you be open to that if somebody wanted to do a concerted effort focused on pinyon pines or reforesting parts that are actually degraded, like up in the landscape where it was all chopped down?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done 2 trial runs of planting pinyons up here. We found that if you get them too small, the birds eat them pretty quickly. So we found that maybe like 2 or 3 year old ones are really good to put in. I've never tried getting them going from seed. You know, that's another option too.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, yeah, you could put your overflow water to use.
yeah, exactly. And put like in the raised beds, keep them there for a couple years, get them up to size, then relocate them, something like that. It would be amazing to have trees everywhere. It would help with everything, erosion, you know, obviously.
Yeah.
Everything.
But I'm wondering if we might be able to find a biologist or somebody to tell us what this was likely like 400 years ago before the miners showed up.
Right.
I've learned enough to realize, like, this doesn't look quite right.
Right.
But not enough to just dive in and say, oh yeah, you got to get valley oak and blah, blah, blah. Don't hesitate, Brent. Well, we can get more rocks if you want. Sayonara. Goodbye, tailings pile.
Any preference on location for any of these? Or?
Kind of. No. I've reached my allotment on coffees per day, so. All right, so let's do just stomp around. You don't want the rocks. If you feel like if I stomp on the rocks, they're gonna slide everywhere, that means the water's gonna destroy your dam. So better you do it than the water does it. Yeah, this all feels good. I think we're done, gentlemen. What do we do? Fist bumps, go team, whatever.
Good job.
Nailed it.
Good job, Greg. Thank you.
There's been winters where you're snowed in. I mean, last winter we were snowed in and lost power for a while. Then it becomes a real fun adventure. But every year I'm trying to get a little better about anticipating the problems to come. Well, I think oftentimes when people think ghost town, they think flat desert, you know, old buildings, but like this is the high desert. And so we get a lot of snow. That's part of the battle of the place, but I think to me it's part of the appeal too. It's like, I find it very beautiful when like there's snow on cactuses. I think that contrast is really cool. And yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
But is that strange for you that you go from being snowed in and you're by yourself and you're literally alone in a ghost town?
Yeah.
And then now we're in high season where a visitor just drove up and
yeah,
like you're definitely not alone.
Yeah, the experience has changed so much even since my first time here. You know, when I first came up, it was a very solo experience, something that I was very like insular about. And then I think over time, you know, a lot more people learned about the town, a lot more people visit. And these days, you know, there's always people here all the time. But again, that was kind of the point of it from the beginning, right? Sure. To open it up to other people, for people to come and stay and visit. And it's cool. It's definitely feeling like seeing a dead town come back to life. And that has been kind of the goal since the very beginning. You know, I've always wanted this to be a very open place to everybody. And I think that we're getting closer and closer every day to that being the reality here.
Why is this project important? Why spend the bulk of your life restoring a ghost town?
I think that the history here is important. I think that like preserving is important. I know that what I've gotten out of learning the history here and being able to experience the natural beauty around here, and I think the idea of preserving that for future generations is important. And I think eventually, you know, like people look their whole life for purpose, but eventually like you just have to decide, you know, you have to like almost assign your own purpose. Yeah. And so I couldn't think of a task that I enjoy more, you know, than being up here doing this. I feel like it is an adventure every day. And when I think of, well, what else would I do with the time, you know? I can't think of a better answer. And so I've just kind of grown to really love it.